most people that come to us aren't just selling a house, they're closing a chapter. This requires a whole different approach than what's the market doing.
We're Kirsten and Troy Clark, and we are real estate agents in the Sacramento area. And we're going to talk to you today about right sizing and why having the right agents there to help you through the process is really important.
Yeah, so right sizing is totally different than, we sometimes call it downsizing, upsizing, left sizing, right sizing. It is basically you're adjusting to changes that are in your life. Often we see this maybe after the kids move out, but it could be after you just had kids and now you need to right size. But the key is that there are sometimes decades of life that are involved in a house, and there's a lot of emotion tied to it, and it's so much more than just a transaction, and that requires a different approach.
Right, and I would say often it's not really about when the market is ready for you to sell your house. It's really about when you are ready to sell your house, and you're at a point in your life where you are able to make that choice based upon your own personal needs, and not necessarily waiting for the exact right time to sell.
So some of the other things about in right sizing is sometimes it's like the fear of regret
That's a big one.
Of selling the house that you've lived in for so long to making such a big decision is greater than what's the market doing. So many times you watch on the TikTok or Instagram, and all of us realtors are talking about the market's up, the market's down, it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. But really, when it's time, it's time.
Right. And also with the right sizing, we see that a lot of times it's not just about when it's the right time for you, but really a right time for the whole family. And this is a much bigger discussion. There's a lot more, I will call them stakeholders involved in the process, right? Whether it's you helping your own parents make a change, right sizing, or whether you are the ones right sizing for yourselves and you want to talk to your kids about it, or other people that are going to have emotions around this move too.
This is where having some folks that are experienced, I'm going to suggest it's us, get involved get involved in the situation, because what happens is you may be off making the decision on what's happening next, and then halfway through it, all of a sudden there's a new stakeholder that pops in that's like, why are you doing that? How come you didn't consider this or that? So we can help at least kind of gather up the information, like, are there other stakeholders? Are there other people that would be involved? And then sometimes you don't even know until they bubble up and having a big opinion. And then it's time to, sometimes it's good to have a third party that can help kind of get everybody together and reorient the wagon train.
And I think that's a really great time for maybe us to talk about how our own process working with Rightsizers has really evolved over the last few years as we have gained more and more experience in this area, especially around who should be involved in the discussions, the decisions, and understanding all the different roles that different people play, because it can get to be a lot and there's a lot to manage. And we really take pride in helping you and all the stakeholders have this move be a really great experience for you.
Right. And another thing sometimes with the right sizing is, especially if it's in the later phases of our journey, this may be the last big financial decision, right? There's all these big feelings that come with this. Like, this is my final home that I'm going to buy. This is, the last time I'm ever going to do this. And you know what? Our experience is it may not be the last one, but it'll still may feel like that. So it's okay. It's okay. We can make a decision. And it's like when you're trying to buy your forever home. Well, the forever home is that thing that just feels so big. It's too big because it can't be perfect for every phase of life. So let's buy your next 10-year home or your next 7-year home or something what do you need today? And then as life evolves, we know that we could pivot later.
Yeah, we can, or we can stay also.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so as we have worked through this, one of the things that we have noticed is that people that are making this change in their life, they need time. This is not when you are the listing agent that rushes in and is like, all right,
are you ready to sell? Here's the papers.
Yes,
here,
I've already
right
got I came today, I scheduled the photographer, the videographer. You have your gardener set for Tuesday, right? Because we're doing
I brought my
pictures.
truck. We can put this old couch in there. I'm sure
Yes.
you can get a new couch.
Right. We get it. This is a very different feeling. And often the first 1, 2, 3, 10 conversations are around what does this look like? Am I ready? Should I be doing this right now? And, we take our time with you and walk you to the point when you decide that you are comfortable and ready to list, and letting it be your choosing.
Right.
The timing is so important for that.
Oh, it's so important. You're so right. And sometimes what happens is we talk about selling of the house, but really but then what happens next? Mm-hmm. Like, are you moving out of state? Are you moving across town? Are you moving next door? Do you have a plan? And sometimes that's where we put pause on the selling of the house portion, and we look at, let's make sure we fully kind of understand together. It's not for us to necessarily dictate. This is not us saying what to do. This is us kind of coaching and guiding by listening, right? Kind of what do you want to do next? And let's also just kind of talk about what's out there. What are some of the possibilities, so that maybe we need to do something that aligns timing wise with your middle landing spot, or selling a home to buy a new home, or when's the new home going to be ready? Do we know what's going on? That's our job, is to help to map all that out.
I'm glad you brought up the word aligned. I think alignment is one of the most critical pieces of this type of a move, is really understanding what's my next step, maybe my next couple of steps. What am I doing now to progress towards that? And is the vision that each party has aligned with the others, and making sure everyone is on the same page about what is happening next. Yeah. And, does it make sense? Because that can, if it's that part is not given the respect that it needs and discussed thoroughly and really kind of walked through, it can really become challenging as you start getting to the point where, like, oh shoot, we're in escrow and now Jimmy thinks that mom and dad are going here, but Susie thought that actually, no, mom was coming to this state instead. I mean, these are actually real life situations we've been dealing with, and we get it, because there's so much that you're going through as you are trying to make these decisions. Sometimes things that seem obvious to one person are not maybe as evident to another. So it's our role to make sure that the communication is Sure. being done across all the different channels.
Right. And because what's the farmer's ad or something, we've seen a few things.
Yes.
We've seen a few things. Because of that, it allows us to come with compassion, right? This is what's really important, I think, in our communication style, right? It's we're not trying to just close the transaction. You'll hear that a lot through this kind of discussion, is that our communication style is really around making sure we're feeling comfortable and moving forward, and kind of also talking about the excitement of the next step, and kind of staying focused on where we're headed, and not just getting kind of mired down in the sometimes the emotions. We're not bypassing the emotions, acknowledging them, but then kind of helping everybody move forward in the same direction.
So speaking of that, what does it take to have this be a successful process? Like, maybe we can just speak to some of the things that we have noticed really are instrumental in making this a smooth move, so to speak.
So another quote I always loved from Intel work: we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that means we should listen first.
I think I heard that in 6th grade too. That's like what we learned in kindergarten that we should never forget.
Yeah, maybe it was in kindergarten that I needed that at Intel. It's like more listening, less talking. So I think, but that skill really comes with, in learning how to serve my customers. It continues in real estate. So here we are. I think that is the important first step, is really listening to understand, kind of get it mapped out. That's the first thing. Before we get moving, we get listening.
Yes. And once we are listening, I'm going to point back to that alignment piece. Are we all clear on what is happening next. And I mean, that does sometimes require like email conversations, like we are all agreeing to this. And I'm really speaking not so much to like just when you're two people that are empty nesters looking for a change in your life, but this is probably more of an example of when a group of siblings are moving a parent or a set of parents from the family home to
There's
somewhere
more stakeholders
else.
involved
Right.
in
More
that
stakeholders
often.
and maybe higher stakes in the decisions because more family members are impacted by the choices that are made. So really having us walk through that with all the siblings and the parents to make sure that the parents' needs and desires are being heard, and also that the children understand and are agreeing that this makes the most sense for everybody.
That's so important. And because, I mean, we're also here to move through a transaction and, sell a house, buy a house, whatever the next phases are. We are kind of the emotion and the transaction are happening in parallel. So our job is to kind of build a framework so that as the emotion kind of ebbs and flows, right, we can kind of stay on the framework and we can kind of talk through, here's the next steps. It's good. We can listen and everybody can kind of, feel like they know what's coming next. And we minimize the surprises. We minimize the drama part that comes in the transaction.
And emotion is something that I think we should recognize the ebb and flow. I think that's a great point. And I would say now I'm going to speak more to empty nesters like us who are looking at moving from the family home into something different. And I think those emotions, it's like one day you're really unsure, the next day you're confident, and then maybe you see the listing sign go up in your front yard and it feels really overwhelming and kind of scary and maybe just gives you a little bit of pause. And we understand that and we will support you through that. Sometimes maybe it is putting a hold on listing, and sometimes maybe it's just reaching out and saying it's going to be okay. Remind you of what choices we've made next that we know are going to be good for you, and just reassure you that we'll help you get there, and that this is scary and it's okay, and it's uncomfortable or sad, and that's okay. And we are your emotional support animals. That's part of our role.
And we're not here to dip out at the end of the transaction. We are building relationships, not executing a transaction.
Yes. I think that's a really important point too. Yes. Like because often after you close it, that's when a lot of the questions comes up, and just the support for I'm in this new phase of life and now I need all these other things that I didn't know I was going to need, contractors, where the local bank is because I've relocated somewhere, and that's the kind of support we would provide as well.
Yeah. I think, when you're thinking about how you're going to get through this new phase in your life, obviously you should think about us a little bit, and we can help, let's get the conversation started. I think it's really important that the right agent for these big transitions in your life is not necessarily the agent with the most signs out in yards in the neighborhood, right? These are I think you're really looking for is somebody who takes the time to understand the whole situation, help spell it out for everybody, help to get everybody aligned. Really, it's like think like a wedding coordinator, right? I mean, they're really understanding kind of what's the feel that you're trying to get here, that getting all the players in place, right? We're not just going to book the venue and it just happens, right? It's like we're here to kind of really get the show going and make sure it comes off with the right feeling and without a hitch, except for the ring part. So you want somebody who understands this is so much bigger than just a real estate transaction.
Yeah, it's not just a move.
Yeah. So if you're ready to at least start talking about it, maybe it's out in time and you just kind of want to know what the next steps are. But when you're ready, give us a call, reach out to us, send us a message. We'd love to work with you.